promoting what you really do use and need.
Right.
And I think that's going a long way nowadays. You're seeing a lot of sales for, one, of course, they're small businesses. People are really doing a good job of supporting small businesses.
Right.
But also bodybuilders who have their own line. It's just kind of like a for sure way that you can trust them, and you're not going to kind of get, you know, proprietary blend.
Right.
And so it's been really good. And I think the idea is really cool. I think people are really gravitating to just, there really is no space kind of like themes in supplements. And what we're going to do, and I was even going to tell you about it because I wanted to tell you first. So the reason why we never called it like a nutrition or labs or anything like that is because we just wanted to start with the subs. I actually want to get into a bigger kind of venue, like even Comic-Con.
Okay.
The person who drew our mascot, which is Cosmo the astronaut, works for Marvel. He's
wow.
still working. Yeah, works for Marvel. So that was really cool. And I want to do like, you know, like children's vitamins, and you know, you could put it in a comic book, you know, just like not so much like a real comic book or as small as like the Bazooka comic books, but something where when you get something, the kids could like look at it, and you know, it makes it fun for them to take, you know, supplements that kids can be taking, or even just anyone. And I want to go to Comic-Con, and we can make toys. Like we can do so much with the space theme alone. So I'm hoping to kind of get in on that level. That would be really cool to be able to have supplements and me be at Comic-Con. I can be there right with Lou Ferrigno. We'll just be booths next to each other.
Yeah, but you're less expensive.
I will take a picture with anybody.
So that leads me to, are you going to get on stage and wear the astronaut helmet?
I guess I would have to save that for the Arnold posing routine, because you're allowed to use props. There's been so many costumes at the Arnold. I wish they would just do just everyone who's worn a helmet, a mask, or Superman outfit like Lee Priest. You could just do a whole video of just those. But I'm not really down with the costumes. That's like a big thing for me. Even when like guys guest pose and they're like wearing shoes, like, oh, it always just like irks me. Or a hat. I tell Rolly all the time, like, why are you wearing a hat? Why are you guest posing? You know what it reminds me of? It's so weird. Remember that movie Striptease? And he's like got his cowboy boots on with the Vaseline on. You know, that's what I think of. These guys just oiled up, and then they're just wearing their rider shoes like while they're guest posing. It's like, oh, come on. So no, I can't do the outfits. But no, it's been good. I've been really blessed. It's been really good. And the clothing line's doing even better. I don't know. People are really just
the Victory line. That's, I was going to talk to you about that also.
Yeah. I think it's a cool thing to do when you like put old pictures on shirts too. I think that's just kind of, no one's really doing that. Right. And what I do is because I don't want to like just have a business of just making pictures off my dad, you know? Like one, I remember a long time ago, Jay told me, he's like, man, you really should do that pool stick picture. And I even told him that I really hadn't done anything in the sport, you know, like, and I know it's okay, you know, people still want to wear my dad's clothing, but for me, I had to do something myself first before I can just be biting off someone else with a similar name. And I think once I was able to do New York and then now the Arnold, I just feel so much different about it. And now I'm kind of, again, like I was saying, letting some people know about my dad in these pictures that they didn't even know existed. I cannot believe how many people messaged me that didn't know that picture existed, the pool stick, you know?
Well, I will tell you this, that's my dad's all-time favorite picture of your dad.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Huh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Our
well,
dad,
you think he'd have like one of the ones on stage or whatever, but
yeah, no, wow, that's great.
Favorite.
That means a lot, because our dads are not the best of friends. They did not like it. I remember one of the last conversations I had with my dad before he passed away. I was yelling at him how he had actually treated your dad. It was at the Olympia reunion, and they brought back all the Mr. Olympias, and he was just such in a bad mood. And here's your dad, you know, just trying to drop any of the stuff from back in the day, just trying to come shake my dad's hand, and he was just being so rude to him that I remember being like, Dad, you can't be like this anymore. You know, you're holding grudges from things from so long ago. Right. And yeah, he just got so mad at me that I said that to him. But I'll never forget. That's one of the last conversations. I never told your dad that. It's one of the last conversations I ever had with my dad, was me telling him that he needs to really just work on being happier and dropping a lot of things that happen in the back. So that means a lot that your dad really liked that picture of my dad.
Oh, he's talked about that for years. I mean,
you'll have to text me his address. I should send him one. That'd be really cool.
yeah, yeah.
For sure.
He would wear it, absolutely. Trust me.
Yeah, great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
let's talk about the picture that you put up with Arnold with your dad. I was on there dying reading your responses to everybody.
Oh my God, I know.
That kept me entertained for a good 10, 15 minutes.
See, well, because
but you were right what you were writing, what you were replying to them, though. That's the thing.
Well, because you know me, you know who I am, you know, and that's why you can read those with my tone and my sarcasm and really my sense of humor. But yeah, thanks. It just, I was really shocked how many people were so upset by a picture that they're just, really, if anything, it was a perfect time to post it too, because it shows back then there was actual real bad racism and segregation. And here these two guys are laughing and joking around, and it shows really a testament who Arnold is too, you know? Here's someone who's better than him at the time, and he's okay pretending like, oh, let me lavish the king, you know, and massage your feet. Like, it takes a real man to be able to joke around and do stuff like that. And it just shows that a lot of this.
Well, and talk about level of confidence too.
Right. He knew he wasn't worried.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would have loved to watch both of them. That's what I told him backstage when he finally was now talking to me and not giving me the old, oh, your dad was the greatest. Once he was actually talking to me about my dad, I told him backstage at the Arnold, I said, one day I want to sit down with you and you just tell me full transparency, all the stories of them too. Because I would love to, you know, because like you said, you should write a book. There's a lot of things you can't put in the book, you know?
That's true.
And Arnold, the same thing. I'm sure he could, you know, do 3 books at least of just stories of him and the other bodybuilders, but he might not be able to tell other people though. So I want him to tell me stuff maybe he can't tell other people. I think that'd be really cool one day.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's like people always say, well, you could write about Arnold. I go, I could. I won't.
Right. Definitely not.
Like you said, I mean, a lot of the stuff that my dad and Arnold and Franco, my dad and them, I was there, but guess what? That's their personal lives. They were off camera. There was no social media. This stuff was never supposed to go out to everybody. You know, that's their things. Yes. Do I remember that? Yes. Does my dad remember it? Absolutely. You know, I think the funniest thing my dad said, I think it was back in March or April, when Arnold started doing the videos with his horse and donkey. My dad goes, oh my God. He goes, I eat lunch on that table with him. He goes, the hell, I hope he cleans it next time. But that's just a natural thing to come out, right?
Exactly. He's watching that video. We're all watching and we're like, oh, the mini horse. Ha ha ha. It's funny. He's literally remembering the exact food he ate on that table.
Right. He's like, what the hell is wrong with him?
He is definitely out there in this quarantine though. Arnold is definitely going to another level for sure.
Yeah. But to me, no one else in the world would have had that reaction.
But you know, not a lot of people have had that opportunity to be able to.
Right. That's the other thing.
Right. It's so great. It's so cool.
So anytime I see him sit at that table now, I have that in my head.
I'm gonna think it now too. Everyone who's watching this is gonna think that.
So, all right. So now we're in this quarantine, pandemic, everything going on. What are your plans to get onto the Olympia stage? Do you have anything, or are you just still kind of waiting to see what's going to happen?
Yeah. So of course, when I was out in Australia, you know, I was able to still train, but it's not the same. It wasn't the same. It really was just in a garage gym, and I would have liked to have came back and then did the cow. It's right here in my backyard. It would have given me, you know, a good amount of time. It would have been cutting it pretty short, but then now you hear that you don't know what's going to happen with that show, and now it might be moved to Vegas, and the date might be moved. And I already have enough pressures and anxiety. Like, Jim, if I didn't have the anxieties and pressures and stuff that I deal with on my own in this sport, I would have probably already been first call at the Mr. Olympia already. These things hold me back so much. My appetite, I'm not hungry, and it happens to be every show too. So the thought of prepping for a show that's not a for sure, and I can't just pick a date and then aim on that, it would just mess with me. And I just know me, I would prep different. So God forbid if I did a show, or even maybe the Chicago, or I think the last one was going to maybe be Boston, if that goes on.
Well, the weekend of Chicago, the Chicago Pro that's the last weekend to qualify for the Olympics.
Oh, it is the last. So they switched it, right? So Chicago's the last.
Boston's the weekend before it now.
Oh, okay. So even if I got it together for that, I don't know if I could look better than I did at the Arnold. You know, and then really, this is the thing that a lot of people don't know in the sport, especially when it comes to the open guys, and obviously 212 too. You can only get so many bangs out of your body per year. It's not, you know, I had this conversation with Lee LeBron when I was sponsored by him. They used to do a show and then another one the next weekend, another one the next weekend. But the level of detail and how kind of dry that they would get was not the same. And you're only able to peak like that so many times, because then after a while, I did it when I did Chicago, Tampa, and then the Olympia, the first time I ever did the Olympia. By the time I did the Olympia, you know, I never cheated on my diet. I never slagged on carb. I never did anything less. My body was just burned out by the time that I got it. And that's something that I got to learn to do. That's part of being a pro, and that's part of what I'm going to have to do, be up there one day. But I know that I would either peak at Chicago, and then a month or 2 months later at the Olympia, it would just be like maybe a little bit better, if not maybe the same. And then again, to be ready again in March for the Arnold, which I'm really trying to go all out for. I think that's just making me have to choose. And really what I would like for it to happen is, I think, because really I'm only a couple points away from qualifying.
Yeah, you're tied for fourth in the points.
And if they had put Australia on, which I was there for, I would have had my points and I wouldn't even be having to worry about this.
Exactly.
You know, so it just sucks that I was there, I was ready to go, and Bonac already announced he wasn't doing it. Let's say Rami didn't get stuck in Dubai. He went. Dexter said he wasn't going to go because of the corona, but let's say that there was no corona and Dexter went. No matter what, I was going to move up one spot. And then that would have been my amount of points I would have needed. So it's just really tough to know that I did do two shows, but I didn't get to do that other one. So now I need to get it together in time by Chicago. So I'm just trying to really tell you the truth. I want to see how Tampa goes. And I think that's really what a lot of people aren't saying it. That's what a lot of people are doing. A lot of these open guys.
I mean, they are saying it, but they're not saying it out. Like, they're not on social media. But I mean, I can't tell you how many people this weekend. I saw quite a few pros, you know, even in Sacramento, and that's the number one question. Do you think Tampa's really going to go off?
Right. Exactly. And I get it. And I get it. Right. And look at Ian and Hunter. They're getting hounded. Oh, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And now they went from answering the questions like really politically correct, like, yeah, you know what? I'll just do the next show. Whatever happened, I'm not worried about it. I'm not thinking about it. But now they've been hounded by those questions so much, just like Tim has been, that now they're just like, man, I don't even want, don't ask me that. Don't talk to me about it, because now they're a couple weeks out and they're getting this, is the show going to happen or not? You know, like no matter what, a lot of us were starting to drop our water for Australia, and then the show got canceled. So it's just tough to get real close and then have to bail out. So if Tampa goes on, and this is my only question I was going to ask you. So let's say Tampa goes on, New York goes on, Boston goes on, Chicago goes on, and there's a Canada show, right?
Yeah.
So that's 5. So that's only possible 5 people to qualify. That only makes the Olympia, what, 9 guys? 11 guys? Because how many of you qualify from last year?
Let me see here.
I don't even think that's enough. I think that this should be the corona.
Okay, because I have it right here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 10 guys qualified. But then again, that's counting Phil, which we don't know what he's doing.
Right.
Okay. You have, you know, so let's just say 10 guys. Okay. So then you have the 5 in the points. So that would only be 15. And then these other ones, so that would be 20.
No, yeah, so that's right. That's enough for sure.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's what the plan would be. I already said that if I was not able to do the first Mr. Olympia at the new venue, and it would kill me. It would bother me forever. I know that it would really bother me that I wasn't able to say I was at that first one, because I always say all the time, I wish I was born earlier. I wish I was at Mandalay Bay, and I wish I was traveling to go to New York and Long Beach and Germany and just all the different places that the Olympia used to travel to, Chicago.
Finland and
yeah, but people don't
they
know.
played a hockey game in between the prejudging and finals.
No way. Where? In
You didn't know that?
I didn't know. See, you're the guy. See, you're the only person that stumps me on the
They literally, that was Ferrigno's comeback, remember?
right, of course, yeah.
Yeah. And Vince Taylor had the eye injury.
Yeah, the patch, of course, the Terminator routine.
Right.
They
So it was in a hockey arena. So they built it, they had to tear it down. They played a semi-pro hockey game, rebuilt the stage, the lights and everything else, and then brought us back at night.
See, this is the stuff people need to know. That is amazing. I cannot imagine going to Vegas right now, watching the prejudging, and then they clear it out, have an ice skating ring, and then we have to now come back for the night show.
Yeah.
So you can't even comprehend that. That's so wild. Gosh, that's so funny.
Everybody was like, they're doing what? They're playing what? And they're like, it's the only way we could get this arena.
Hey, you got it though. You got it. You guys got it done. But
yeah,
I always say I wish I was just born earlier and I was able to be in those Mr. Olympias. So if I was able to miss out on that first Planet Hollywood, it would be a tough pill to swallow for sure. But and especially too, I feel like I was even talking to a couple other pros too that were saying that they were just gonna, just not diet this year. And I was really saying that it'd be really good for the sport if we all just kind of pulled it together, because everyone's taking a loss, and it's kind of like the momentum and motivation is really dying out as a whole across the board. And I feel like if we could all just, get our shit together and get this done, it kind of like boosts us into the next year on a good start, rather than having if we had another, I hate to call it lackluster Mr. Olympia like we did the year before, but that's all people want to talk about is how great things aren't. No one really appreciates. Poor Brandon Curry, he had to deal with so much. He could be so great, but because people don't get what they want, they don't get the matchups that they want, they now can take credit away from people. Right. And I think in this horrible thing that's going on with the world, and especially fitness industry is taking a huge toll, just gyms in general. I think it'd be really great if we could all get it together at the end of the year and do it. So I want to be that. That's what I want to be for the sport, is the ambassador. So I want to be on that stage in December. So weird to say, in December. Yeah. It'll be cold. Is it gonna be cold in Vegas? Does it get
I've been there in December, and it's warm during the day, and it's probably like around, depending, but it gets chill. It's chilly there. It's not Chicago cold. It's not Pittsburgh cold.
Right.
But it's mid 40s, maybe 50. You have to wear a jacket. Yeah.
Well, now I've been acclimated to California, so I'm kind of a big wuss.
So now you're a wuss. So yeah, you have to park it on. Okay.
And it's so funny too. Like when I drove from, because I just got in my car and drove from Chicago to Venice, and I remember when I got passed over the border, I even threw my jacket. I was like, I'm never gonna need this again. It was like this whole moment we did. We filmed it. I have already bought so many coats now because I get so cold. I went to Ohio. I almost died from Arnold. It just shows, man, God, I grew up in negative 25-degree weather at times. Right. And now it's like 60. I'm like, oh my God, put the heater on. Cormier was staying with me. That's another thing too. We could do a whole nother show on just Cormier staying with me. But yeah, we could
just do a whole nother show on Chris in general. So I know, Chris, you're going to listen to this, so I don't have to say anything more.
He needs to get on and do the show. I could watch.
Wait. We would have to bring Tyler on.
Oh, that would be good.
Because there's a whole Tyler Chris story.
Oh, see, this is what I need. This is what the fans need.
Yeah, this is a story that, and I gotta find the pictures. It would be great because Chris has his version, and if I could convince my dad to get on, he'll give you the third version.
Right.
4 screens going here. I think people they'd be losing their minds, because this is a story that is like nothing that anyone's heard of unless you were there.
So yeah, this needs to happen. We got to make it happen for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris has got so many stories, and they're they're like stored in the back of his head too, because we'd just be talking about something and it would just spark something, and he would just tell some random story about something going on back in the day, and they're all every time it was the best story I've ever heard. So I would love to hear
the one thing I want to talk about is, yeah, man, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm getting on stage now. Okay, here, boom, then he'd walk out. Oh, halftime, where'd you put that phone? Legit, he'd be 3 steps from walking on the stage. The curtains are right there. And then he'd either hand the phone to somebody or he'd put it somewhere, come back off, and he's like, yeah, my routine's done now. Yeah.
Oh my God.
His filter's off, right?
Oh my God.
Because you're picturing it right now, aren't you?
I can see it 100%. Anyone who's met Chris can see that 100%. That's so funny. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, his movie didn't really do him any justice. People that haven't seen it, I think Gary Phillips is a photographer in Australia. He did the Flex Wheeler movie and the Chris Cormier movie. And if people haven't seen it, they should watch both of those. Those are really great. But Cormier's did not do him any justice, because he even said that they would have ran out of time. It would have been a 4-hour movie if they really put everything in there. But,
well, they should just do a part 2 and interview the Manions.
Right. That's an hour and a half, 2 hours right there. For sure. It's just down the chain. It starts stories with your dad, and then you, and now Tyler.
Yes, exactly.
Your stories too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's talking about Dexter, but Chris Cormier is the true vampire. He has been around and in everyone's life from every generation.
Right. Yeah. So that would be funny. That would be funny.
But yeah, that was cool. You know, that was just another thing that I've had Tom Platz live with me. A lot of people don't know that. Tom was going to move out of the country, and he shipped all of his stuff to like Sweden. And then I met him randomly and we had lunch, and then he wanted to stay to train me, but he had already shipped all his stuff out because his wife was already living there, because they were already starting their business somewhere else. So he's like, I can stay and train you, but I don't have a place to live. So Tom Platz moved in with me. So I've lived with a Mr. Olympia, Tom Platz, and Chris Cormier. Like, I have a great life. I'm not like.
No, wait. Do you know where Tom Platz is from?
Originally?
Yeah.
It's not California. What? How did I not know that?
Ha! See that?
City boy? What? Wow, I did not know that. What did he move when he was 5?
I forget, but because he came to my dad's show. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Because somebody said he was in town, and I guess my dad got hold of him and said, hey, come to the show this weekend, you know? And because he was back visiting his family.
Yeah, and I would have, if that was
I always tell people there's so many Pittsburgh connections that people don't understand.
Yeah.
People that were from here at different points. I mean, and I'm talking like, even more than bodybuilding, there's just so many connections in the entertainment world, different things. You can draw points. We can have we should come back and I can give you how Pittsburgh is related to almost every Batman series, starting with the 1966 Batman. There's something with Pittsburgh in there.
Yeah, we'll have to have
that's a whole nother conversation.
That's even possible. And right, again, if you're not from Pittsburgh, you would never even know.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, I was telling Tyler I want to come go to a hockey game. Well, I was saying that before when there was games.
Right.
So I'm a huge Blackhawks fan, so I want to go and talk shit for sure.
So then you'd love, because we could go and bring Debbie along. I think Debbie's a more hardcore hockey fan than she is a football fan.
Whoa. Okay.
Okay.
I'm obviously the Bears are my football team, so I wouldn't say I'm more of a hockey fan. It's just the Blackhawks are the only team winning in Chicago for the last decade, so I am hardcore about my Hawks. So I would definitely.
When we get to Tampa, I want to get you, we'll get Debbie, and get Tim and Eileen there, and talk about whenever we came down to watch the Steelers play Tampa Bay. Okay, and Debbie with a terrible towel.
Did Gardner go?
Yeah, it was in Tampa. Tim.
Oh yeah, and he's a Buccaneers fan. It always makes it better if you go to a game where the person you're with is the opposite team. I always say that. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and then it's funny. These 8 guys show up in the row in front of us, and they're all originally from Pittsburgh.
Oh, poor Tim. Oh man.
No, poor Eileen.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, gosh. She's probably getting hit in the face with the towel every which way.
So you know the story.
No, that's what happened.
That is the story.
No, I just know Pittsburgh fans. We've all been hit in the face once before with that stupid, terrible towel.
But you got to hear the two of them talk about it, because Tim and I kind of went like,
oh, gosh.
And she's like, Tim, are you going to help me? No.
It's just like a car wash. She's just getting it. Oh, man. I would love to hear that story for sure. I wanted to try and go down to Tampa just to even be there to support it. I wanted to try and make
Well, if you're there, we're going to get this. We'll get this together so we can talk.
Okay. That'll be good for sure.
The fact that you knew what Debbie did this just cracks me up.
That's so great. We should get something like that in bodybuilding. I remember when they used to bring those horns for Dorian. Those horns.
Yeah, all the English. Yeah, they used to.
Yeah, they were like scary. It almost was like frightening. Yes, that was so great. I wish we would have that. We could bring big heads like they do in college ball to bodybuilding. I think we could do a lot. I think now with the new Olympia, I think we can. The sky's the limit, really.
Right.
Cool. This has been great, Jim. Thanks so much.
Yeah, this is fun. Like you said, this could be like a 5-hour interview.
Right, easily. Yeah, because I was going to tell you too, but we could do that on another show. I got picked to go to Comic-Con, and then this all happened. Because I don't know if you probably know how hard it is. You cannot buy tickets to Comic-Con.
Yeah, I know that.
I went to the Chicago one, but in the San Diego one, you have to be put on a raffle, and then you have to be picked in that raffle to go into a room where you wait. And then you have to be picked out of that room. And then you have to pick if you're going to get Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It's just a whole nother world. And it shows like we thought the Olympia and the Arnold Expos were big deals. But
oh, yeah.
It's just uncanny. So hopefully next year, if I get another ticket, we're going to go for sure.
All right. That sounds good.
You've never been, right? You've never been to the San Diego one?
No, I've been to like you said, different ones all over the country and stuff. Like I remember a couple of years, like when I was doing my comic book, and they had a big in Columbus at the convention center.
Right.
But even that is like this compared to San Diego.
Oh yeah, I've only heard stories.
But I actually got to sit in the original Batmobile, the '66 Batmobile, the one that they sold, whatever it was, 2 or 3 years ago for $7 million.
They actually let people sit in it? That's
well, no. Because they had it there, but because I was one of the vendors, because I had the Iron Sirens comics, and I had all the girls like Adela and everybody that were there who the comics are on. And I had the shirt, and it was the Batman symbol that's on the side of that one, that red bat. But he hadn't seen it. That's the only reason I was able to get in the car and get the picture, because everyone else had to take their picture in front of it.
Oh, so you're wearing the shirt in the car. That's great.
Yeah.
But you really only got to sit in the car because you were Cassie and Tyler's dad. Let's not lie.
Pretty much. And Jim Mannion's son. That's it.
Jim Mannion's son. And on that note, the juniors are never going to get our fair share, but whatever. We love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, guys. So, as I said, we could be doing this forever, but JM signing out with Sergio. IFBB Pro League interview series powered by NPC News Online. Thanks for coming on, Sergio, and I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Sure. Thanks, Jam. This is great.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.